Broadcasting from Manhattan Beach and the World Wide Web, you're listening to CHSR, HealthyLife.net.
Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Dr. Lindsay Ghannam, and you're listening to the Calm Coach Radio, where every episode I do my best to bring you natural solutions, remarkable remedies, tools, and techniques to improve your mental health and gain relief from conditions like anxiety and depression. So if you've dealt with either of these conditions, anxiety and or depression, if someone you love is maybe dealing with anxiety or another mental health condition, please stay tuned. On today's show, we're going to be talking with a colleague and dear friend of mine, Miss Elissa Bentsen. Lisa is an amazing healer who specializes in past life regression and soul trauma healing, a technique that has been used for thousands of years to help with illness and disease. Lisa is a certified hypnotist and trained under the world-renowned Dr. Brian Weiss. She offers lectures, workshops, seminars, and groups on past life regression. And, of course, there's her soul trauma healing certification program, which has been seen many graduates over the years. Lisa, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
So you have such an interesting story of how you started in this line of work. Can you tell us a bit about how you came to do this type of work, past life regression and soul trauma healing?
Yes. Actually, I think it really started when I met Dr. Brian Weiss some many years ago when I was in graduate school working on my master's in social work. One of my classmates and I decided we wanted to pick the brains of somebody who was a practicing LCSW, licensed clinical social worker. And my classmate knew Carol Weiss, Brian's wife. So we invited her to a party, and she brought Brian. And that evening, he explained to us that he was about to publish a book called Many Lives, Many Masters. And he told us the story of how he had discovered the therapeutic benefits of past life regression. It's an excellent book. It's kind of a primer for past life regression. I highly recommend it. But it explains how he accidentally discovered that there's more than meets the eye. He had done 2 years of therapy with a particular patient, and he wasn't getting to the root of her problem. And so he hypnotized her, thinking perhaps something happened in her very early childhood. And when he still couldn't find the root, he said to her, go back to when this problem first began. And she went back hundreds of years to describe a situation in which she was being strangled and pushed off a cliff at the same time. Once she re-experienced this event, she was able to release the emotion of it and the problem how it was causing a problem for her, in that she would have these panic attacks if there was anything around her throat. So I found that both fascinating and remarkable at the same time, knowing that it's very possible that the issues that we deal with, that we think of on the surface level, as most therapists try to uncover the childhood issues that create adult issues, that there's more, that going back even further produces even more results.
Mm-hmm. So for those who are listening who are maybe a little bit new to hearing about past lives, or maybe they've never even heard of past life regression, can you share a little bit about what exactly is meant when we refer to a past life, or maybe talk a little bit about reincarnation?
Sure. Well, past life is a life that the soul has led in a prior incarnation. Bodies change, souls don't. So the soul can inhabit different bodies over periods of time. And then when that body passes, the soul can return to a new body. Einstein proved this. He said that energy, and we are energy, can never be destroyed. It can only change forms. So he really was the scientific proof that past life do exist and that people can reincarnate. And reincarnation is merely the act of coming back and having the soul inhabit a different body.
And so you do past life regressions. I know that because I've worked with you, and I find you to be very, very good at it. But can you explain a little bit, if someone has never undergone a past life regression, but they want to experience it, do you need to really believe in reincarnation to work with or experience the past life regression?
No, you don't have to believe in it. And in fact, I particularly love working with people who say, I don't believe in this, and then find that they have recall of a life, of another life, and they say, where did that come from? Did I make that up? Did I read that in a book? No. What we have is called soul memory, and I liken it to DNA. DNA contains the biological information, but soul memory contains the soul information. And it's buried in the subconscious. So it's like hidden in a hard drive. And you know, if you want to get to the data in the hard drive, you have to use software. So hypnosis is our software that allows us to bring up this buried subconscious information to the conscious mind so the conscious mind can work on it. So you don't have to be a believer.
Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people out there will be wondering, when you mention hypnosis, do you remember everything after you're hypnotized and you sort of wake up, so to speak, or how does that work?
Well, you are awake. You are definitely, but you're in a slightly altered brainwave state. It's called an alpha state, and you are in that state twice a day, every day of your life. You just don't know it. It happens when you go to sleep at night and you're not quite awake and you're not quite asleep, or when you awaken in the morning and you're not quite awake and not quite asleep. Technically, you're in hypnosis. If someone does deep meditation, they are in hypnosis. So it's not anything uncommon. It's just you weren't aware of it.
And for those out there who might be dealing with ongoing mental health issues, maybe anxiety or depression or trouble sleeping or even serious aches or pains, I know you've worked with a lot of clients who are dealing with these types of issues. Can you explain why looking at the past or how soul trauma healing may help with these current life issues?
Well, if the root of a problem is not fully evident in the current life, it is in the past life. And so when we go back and we uncover the root cause, there's a release. There's an energy release, because we hold the energy of negative experiences. And in order to release those, we have to become consciously aware of them. So the past life regression will allow us to get to that awareness. And as I said before, that's when the conscious mind can work on it. But the phenomena has to do with energy. And so if we're holding energy from a traumatic experience in a past life, and someone is dealing just with the current life, they're not getting to the root.
Mm-hmm. And for those who may not know, you obviously work with clients in exploring their past lives, but you also help them to look at what's referred to as their life between lives. Can you explain what exactly that means and why it matters?
Well, this is really the work of another pioneer in the field. His name was Dr. Michael Newton, and he focused specifically on the life between life experience. And initially, in his 40-year career, he actually hypnotized some 7,000 people, initially asking them one question, and that question was, describe the journey that your soul took from the time it left the body until it reincarnated into the next body. And he discovered that there's a whole journey involved. There's steps along the way that the soul takes. And some of the initial steps have to do with reviewing your former past lives, also known as your Akashic records. This is in his description, the book that contains the history of all of your past lives. So when I do a life between life regression, I'm connecting with a master guide on behalf of the client, or actually the client is connecting with their own master guide. And one of the things that makes the master guide so powerful and interesting is that this spirit is assigned to us at the time the soul is first created by God. A master guide is not an angel. Angels are a separate classification of beings. Angels have the permission, if you will, to step in and help us whenever we need it without us even having to ask. But guides are spirits who have lived in body, who have experienced the human condition, all of it. They've learned all their lessons, they've paid all their karma, and they now are here to help us. So when I do a life between life regression, I'm trying to connect my client to the master guide who holds all the information of the past life. And the client can ask all kinds of questions like, how many past lives have I lived? Have I lived past lives with, and here they get to name significant people in their life. What is my soul's purpose in this life? Am I on my path? The master guide can give advice about how to stay on the path or better improve the soul's vibration, which is the goal for all of us. So there's a lot of information that can be gleaned from doing a life between life regression. And when I do a session, I'm doing both past life regression, looking at the client's past life, particularly the one that's most significant in their lives right now, and then doing the life between life. So it's a combined session. It takes about 2.5 to 3 hours.
And if someone is going to schedule that with you and come, is there anything they need to do to prepare ahead of time? Is there anything they should do, or just come as they are?
Well, what I like them to do is to think about the questions that they might want to ask their master guide. In addition to the standard ones, they may have had a particular experience that they don't understand and they would like clarity on. They may have reoccurring dreams. They may have a particular phobia that wasn't addressed in the regression, like, why do I fear water? And the guide may say something like, well, you drowned in a different past life, and that's your fear of water. There are all kinds of questions that someone can ask their master guide, and some of them are very personal to that individual. Mm-hmm. They're not the standard questions.
So I feel like the major takeaway here is that there's a great deal of evidence. I mean, 7,000 people, that number just blows me away, and that's just Dr. Newton by himself. You know, either scientific evidence or anecdotal evidence that really supports the idea that we've all lived before and we will live again. I don't think there are very many people who would refute that. Love, life never stops outside of our physical bodies. It always goes on. And that we do carry memories or energies from past lives, and that it's important to gather as much life force or soul energy as we can in this life so that we can live joyful, fulfilling lives in the present. And soul trauma healing is one way, it seems, that you can do that.
Yes, but let me just add this, too. Our ultimate goal as a soul is to complete all of our karma, to redo or do over the mistakes that we have made in the past, and in the process raise our soul's vibration so that we can become a guide, even a master guide if we so choose. It's possible to continue to grow spiritually in the astral plane, but it's much slower. And most souls that are walking the earth today are courageous souls in that they have chosen to come back to Earth School and do it the hard way, but do it faster. So Earth School is a pretty tough place, and no matter what kind of challenges you are facing, you have a brave soul or you wouldn't be here. Now, with soul trauma healing, this is a little bit different process. First of all, we don't need to use hypnosis. It is basically energy work. It's shamanistic work. It's thousands of years old. And it's based on the concept that we contain energy from experiences. And when those experiences have been traumatic, and just think about what life was like for people hundreds of years ago with famines and droughts and war and all kinds of traumatic experiences. When those traumas occur, pieces of the soul fragment. They leave the body and they go to the astral plane for comfort. So what we want to do is, first of all, find out where in the body the problem is reacting. And we're looking at chakras, which are our energy centers. So I will scan those chakras, determining which ones are containing subtle energy changes. And then I'm going to channel the past life experience and explain to the client, based on what the guides are telling me, what happened and how it has affected them in their current life. And then we're going to clear out that negative energy and call back those fragmented soul pieces, which is what creates the healing of mind, body, and soul.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. And I can say from personal experience that it is very effective, and it's also very insightful to be able to make the connection between past life and current life.
Exactly. We need that information, which again is in the subconscious and not accessible to us. We need that information in our conscious mind.
So we're going to take a really short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a bit about how you can seek certification as a soul trauma healer and begin to incorporate Lisa's work into your own practice. If you're working as a healer in any capacity, you should really consider it. I believe in it so much that I'm actually a student of Lisa's right now, myself, going through her program. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back after these messages. So if you're just tuning in, we're talking to soul trauma healer and reincarnation expert, Miss Elissa Bentsen. Lisa, thanks again for joining us today.
My pleasure.
So we talked earlier about past lives, and you were sharing with us about life between lives, and, of course, soul trauma healing. And for those who are thinking, maybe they want to start using this in their practice, can you talk a little bit more about what soul trauma healing is and what exactly, I guess, sets it apart from past life regression?
Well, soul trauma healing, as I mentioned before, is different in that we don't use hypnosis as a tool for getting at the information. I'm actually channeling, or the practitioner is channeling past lives. And a lot of people say to me, well, I don't know how to channel. I've never done that before, and I don't know that I could. Actually, we are all endowed with the ability to channel, to speak to spirit. But we don't have the technique, and that's what I teach in the soul trauma healing classes. It's a step-by-step process in which you connect with your guides who provide information about the client that you're working with, and it allows us primarily, and here's one of the main differences, to look at multiple lives. When we do a past life regression, and life between life. That whole process takes several hours. So really we can only look at one life if we're going to go through it chronologically and extract as much as we can. There's only time to do one life, unless we do one and it's a very short life, and then we can do two. But with soul trauma healing, we can look at multiple lives because each chakra holds a memory of a past life that possibly presented some trauma. We think of chakras in terms of 7 traditional chakras. Chakras are energy centers. They're wheels of energy in our body, and they correlate to physical parts of our body. And they also have emotional components. But in truth, we have access to more than 7. Technically, there is access to about 18 chakras at this moment in time. I've been told that there are 122 chakras altogether, but we have access to 18. I work with about 12. There are chakras below the feet. There are chakras above the head. So we can really look at a bunch of different lives and determine if those lives have caused us a problem in our current life that isn't being cleared in more traditional ways. And so I teach people how to go through those steps so that they can heal themselves, family and friends, or if they wish, they can seek professional certification. To be certified as a soul trauma healer, student has to take the class and do 20 case studies, which I mentor them through to make sure they're doing it right. And then they can use this professionally if they wish.
So, in your opinion, what type of person or in what capacity should they be working? I mean, who is this really intended for? Who would really
anybody that feels called to the work. It doesn't matter whether you've never done any work like this before, but I've had people who are acupuncturists, people who are medical doctors, people who are massage therapists, Reiki practitioners, and people who've never really done anything like this before but feel very drawn to the work.
Okay, so, that makes a lot of sense. And why might someone choose soul trauma healing over past life regression?
Well, to do a past life regression, you need to be board certified as a hypnotist, and that takes some time and expense to get that certification. And there aren't that many places to go to train. I was fortunate. The Omni Hypnosis Center in DeLand happened to have a trainer in Sarasota when I took the class and was board certified. And then I did additional work with Dr. Brian Weiss. But it's a great deal more investment of time and money to become a hypnotist, whereas you can be a soul trauma healer a lot easier because you're not doing hypnosis.
Mm-hmm. And now I know some of our listeners out there are probably thinking, I can't do that. And you touched on this a little bit earlier. And honestly, those were my thoughts before I went through your certification program. So what would you say to someone who was totally new to this? Can anyone do it? Can anyone work as a channel?
Yes, anyone can. We are given this ability. This is how we connect with our guides, with the astral plane. I mean, if we didn't have this ability, we'd be disconnected from all of our 6 senses and from all of the information and the energy that exists outside of our body and our current mind. So anyone can do it. Some people are a little bit better at it than others. Maybe they're a little bit more, maybe they've studied a little bit more about metaphysical things. Maybe they meditate. Meditation is an excellent way to connect with your guides for anybody who wants to achieve any higher level of vibration. There are some people who are more natural at it, but anybody can do it. And the more you practice, the more the information becomes clear and accurate.
And again, I can say that this training is really, truly transformational. I come from, you and I have talked about this, Lisa, that I come from an academic environment, a very scientific environment where, honestly, a lot of this is discredited pretty quickly. But working with you over the years through soul trauma healing and through your program, I can honestly say that it's life-changing. I don't believe anyone could ever be the same after working with you. And I like to think that whereas in most trainings, you're building skills and you're building up the techniques like you referred to earlier, this training really, truly broadens your scope with clients so that you can truly operate from a holistic perspective. And, of course, Lisa's website is foreversouls.com. You can learn more there, or you can like her Facebook page at Forever Souls. Or, Lisa, how would you like people to get in contact with you, to get in touch with you?
Well, they can reach me through Facebook. It says Forever Souls Past Life Regression and Soul Trauma Healing. They can go to my website. They can call. My office is 941-706-3583, or they can email me at Elissa, ELISSA, at foreversouls.com.
And, of course, you're in Sarasota, which is, just an hour north of where I am here in Southwest Florida. But for anyone listening anywhere, you, of course, do remote regression. You do remote soul trauma healing. So anyone anywhere can really reach out to you for this, right?
Yes. I've done regressions and soul trauma healings all over the world, remote, by Skype or by phone. As I say, especially the soul trauma healing, we're dealing with the energy body. I don't need the physical body in front of me.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and Lisa, thank you so much for choosing to be on the show. You've really given our listeners, I think, a good starting place if they want to reach out to you or they want to visit your website and learn a bit more. Of course, Brian's book is Many Lives, Many Masters. You could mention that was a good starting point as well. Or, of course, they can get in touch with you if they want to get certified.
Yes, I have a class coming up in April, the beginning of April, so they can sign up now.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much for being on the show, Lisa.
Thank you, Lindsay. I really appreciate it, and I hope everyone takes away something from this experience.